Well,
How are you?
Are you the groundskeeper here?
Some days. I was just out picking up a few sticks from this big windstorm we had here last week, and I noticed those sticks are shedding all over the carpet right now, so maybe that wasn't a great idea. But got a few sticks here that were getting picked up, but you don't really look familiar. I don't know if I know you. I'm Deacon Rich.
Well, I'm Kathy Berry, and I just happened by. I go this way every day to work and saw your sign up here that said 100 years and come in for a tour, so I was curious. I'm shocked. 100 years, and the landscaping, the sidewalks, everything are beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, we've worked really hard on it. And you know what, Kathy? I'm glad you stopped, because I'd like to show you around. I'd like to actually give you that tour if you got a few minutes.
I do, and I would love it.
All right, let's do that. So go ahead, get your car parked over here in this top parking lot, and then we'll just walk right in. As we do, take a look around a little bit. You notice the new sign out front. That's beautiful, right? This is coming from a whole bunch of planning that we did over the last number of months. What we did over the last number of months is we had an envisioning team that for 6 months met once a month, did planning, talked about things, and in that regard, then an advisory team that helped us bounce ideas off how we could best serve this parish going forward. One of the most important things we did with all that is deferred maintenance. So you talked about the way things looked nice and the tuck pointing was done, the roofing was done, all of those things look really good, but that's because we have good parishioners that stepped up and made sure we had enough income so we could do that. But let's go on in here. We'll go in this first entryway, and you notice how we did this. As you come in this entryway, it kind of opens up, but then we have a spot in there. So you could shake off your umbrella if it was raining or something like that. And then as we do, we go on into that next entryway. So come on in with me and take a look in there.
Okay. I noticed on the outside of the building it said community rather than parish.
Did, and you know what, I appreciate you bringing that up, because I probably forgot to say that, didn't I? But that's very intentional. It says St. Matthew Catholic Community. That's the new branding around here, and for good reason. We're not a school, we're not a daycare separately, we're not a church separately, and frankly, we're not all of these blocks that surround us separately. We're all one community. So that's why we did it, so we can welcome people in like you.
Okay, so it's not community, just church concentric, it's community.
It is community. Yep, that's what we're striving for.
Thank you. That makes it very welcoming, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's walk on in here, and here we are. This is what we call our Gathering Space Community Center. Isn't this nice?
Well, this is a huge room.
Yeah, it is.
How do you use this room? It's so large.
Good point. We use it for a lot of things. Sometimes the school comes over here, they got 2 or 3 grades that they put together so they can have a large group meeting. We'll talk to them about things like vocations and give them an opportunity to have maybe a little bit of an assembly gathering, that kind of thing. Other times you might walk in here and you see people just sitting around visiting about their faith, about their community, about where their heart is. And in that regard, it might be such a thing that they'll have some of the free water or some of the Keurig coffee that's available, restrooms down the hall if they need them. And here's a really good thing, we got free internet going in here because we want to welcome people into being part of our community.
What's this little recessed area at the back of the room?
That's a great question. Right now, you see, we have some pictures sitting there. Those are pictures of the old church and some things that we've got in our new archive room, which is downstairs where the old youth rooms used to be. What we did is we moved the youth rooms over to the faith formation room and got them out of that sort of old basement area with shut doors. Not a great idea for youth these days, right? So what we did is we then put some archives down there. The only time you don't see those things sitting there, though, is if that's where a casket's sitting. Because you see, that's where we want people to come for their final homecoming to their community of faith. After that final viewing, we just take them right down that 12-foot wide hall you see there and directly into the church, and it comes into a door in the front of the church, which is our old confessional over there. that's been recreated into a doorway into the church. We'll walk down there maybe a little bit later, but take a look at these 2 meeting rooms we've got. You know, that's one of the things we're always challenged with around here. Very short of space. Now we still have our rosary room, and we still can meet up in the dining room in the parish office, the rectory office if we need to. But look at these meeting rooms. We use these things for like pastoral meetings, if we have the council get together, if we have the school board get together, if we have a parent association meeting, if we just have people from a group like St. Monica's Circle meeting. They had the opportunity to use these rooms, something we were really, really short of around here before.
Okay, where did you meet before?
Well, wherever we could sometimes, right? Sort of in a corner here, corner there, and now we have some nice formal meeting rooms.
Okay. Well, where's your office space?
That's a
Deacon?
great question. You know what? I'm not going to take you in there today because, frankly, that's something we didn't get done yet. It's part of this capital campaign, but it's kicked clear down the road. And we really didn't do a lot to that office. That rectory office had good bones, but had some ceilings that leak. The floors are bad. The wallpaper is kind of, so I'm just not going to take you in there right now, but that's what it looks like, and we're going to get it updated with the help of some of our community members that'll come out, help us do some painting, some flooring, all of that kind of thing, engage them in this process. So it'll be really nice. The biggest piece is that we opened it up. So from this gathering space, that doorway right there, that's at the end of the hallway in the parish office, allows people to come right in there, transact business, go back out, walk down the hallway, and go into the church itself and pray. Kind of a neat way to do it.
Yeah, well, you talked about including all of your parish in those updates and everything. So your sign outside saying community rather than parish, it kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Thank you. That's what we're trying to do. So you know what else I'd like to show you though? Because part of this community is also our school. So if you got a couple minutes, I want to take you downstairs from this gathering space we're in and show you this brand new cafeteria that we got, not only for the school, but for other things as well. You got a minute?
Sure, please.
All right, let's walk down there. So this is it. This is the new cafeteria, one that we sorely needed because the old one was down in the basement over there in the school. And oh, there's Amy right there. This is Amy Conlon. She's our principal, Kathy. Could you kind of tell Kathy a few things about what's going on?
Sure, absolutely. As you can tell by the picture here, this brand new cafeteria is very light and airy. If you've ever been to our current cafeteria, you will know that this is a significant difference from where we currently eat breakfast and lunch. But this cafeteria also accommodates our large growing enrollment. So in its current plan, the cafeteria will seat 120 students for a single lunch shift, which we currently have 3 lunch shifts, so that would be really cool if we could fill all of that. This also meets new health and safety codes. Like I said, if you've ever been to our current cafeteria, we have been grandfathered in on a number of different occasions. So this will obviously be up to all health and safety codes. It will have a brand new kitchen, which we don't have the old ovens, and obviously will be a little bit more energy efficient as well.
So do you use this space for anything other than just serving lunches?
Certainly, we have a Jaguar extension program that meets, it provides families an opportunity to drop their students off as early as 6 a.m. And then we have that same program after school where families can utilize childcare until 6 p.m. So we envision that this space would also be able to be used to house those students both before and after school, as well as in the summer. But, you know, and also an important note is obviously the school will use this for breakfast and lunch, but our kitchen staff provides the breakfast, lunch, and snack options for our early childhood center. So this kitchen will be put to really good use.
With such a bright, cheery space. I love the big windows and so forth. Thank you.
Yeah, if you have a minute, I'd like to take you down the hall. As we exit the cafeteria, we will enter directly into the main hallway of the school. And if we head down to the storage room, I'm sure this looks like all of yours at home, but this is the storeroom of the Early Childhood Center, the preschool, and the school. And this is merely a glimpse of the millions of things that we house in here, from equipment to supplies. Basically everything that's not in the classroom gets to land in this space. And as we were talking about the future of St. Matthew, growing enrollment has become a conversation over and over. When I started here 4 years ago for the 2018-2019 school year, our enrollment was 150 students. As of today, we are at 193 students, and we expect to be well over 200 for the upcoming school year next year. So with that growing enrollment, keeping class sizes small, because we know that's what families value when they're selecting a Catholic education, we need more space. So I've calculated it out for the future, and we need 3 classrooms. We worked with the Archdiocese, and they were able to kind of help us look at our current space to determine how do we get these extra 3 classrooms. And the storage room became one of our options. The beauty of this situation is that we can repurpose our current space, which, as you know, repurposing versus starting from the ground up, building brand new, is going to be a lot more cost effective. So the plan is for that storage room to become 2 classrooms. It will likely hold our preschool classrooms, which would allow all 4 preschool classrooms to be in one wing in a central location.
So where are you going to put all the stuff that's in this storage room?
Well, the beauty of that situation is with the new cafeteria, that means we have our old cafeteria to be able to be used. And we envision using the old cafeteria space to transfer all of that from there down.
So again, repurposing.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll continue down the hallway through the main hallway of the school. And as we get to the restrooms, we take a left, and there is a door. Similar, actually, you can see right in the door through the picture here. Most people have no idea what's behind this magic door, but the reality of the situation is this door was planned for in the last capital campaign in the renovations to house an elevator. So it has a solid structure. It's got some of the electrical work done to house an elevator for the school. So we would be standing on floor 2. The elevator would span 3 floors, so it would go down to the current cafeteria, which obviously if we're going to put storage in there with equipment and supplies, we're going to need a way to get that materials down there as opposed to going down about 25 steps. And then if we take the elevator up 1 floor, it would go to the 2nd through 5th grade classrooms. And as you can imagine, in today's day and age, being able to provide handicap accessibility to our students and to our families would be such a huge benefit.
So you actually had staff and students going up 3 flights of stairs throughout the day?
We do, and multiple times at that. So if we head down the hall, actually just a very short walk, we come to the locker rooms. And for those of you who have been around a long time, you knew that St. Matthew used to be a K through 8 building, which means they housed middle school sports, hence the need for a boys' locker room and a girls' locker room. As you can tell, we do not use these for a locker room anymore. In fact, quite a few miscellaneous items get thrown into these spaces. But as we've kind of evolved over the years, as student needs have changed, we've really come to understand the need for some professional outside resources. We have a fantastic community of resources through Grant Wood and professionals in our area. So we bring them in to help with student needs. And when they come in currently, they get thrown into whatever classroom we can find, whatever little hole, kind of like church meetings, wherever hole we can find, a small space. So we envision using 1 set of the locker rooms for some meeting spaces for our speech pathologists, our occupational therapists, our Title I reading specialists to come in, work with students in a good learning environment. The second set of spaces then we hope to use for a staff bathroom. So if you've been on our first floor houses our junior kindergarten through first grade. So you can imagine the size of things, especially the bathrooms. So our current staff have to go all the way down the hallway to use the restroom or go upstairs. So having a staff bathroom kind of within a close proximity would be really important.
I've used that, Amy. I'm really glad you're getting a full-size bathroom to use over there.
So you didn't like using the bathrooms with no doors or
No, not really.
child-sized stools and
Right.
so forth? Okay. So answer me the question, though. Don't any of your children still need lockers?
So let's go upstairs and you can see the locker space here. As I mentioned, we are needing 3 additional classrooms to be able to accommodate our future growth. And so this is a picture of a locker bay that it's currently 2 classrooms with a locker bay in the middle. And the proposal by the Archdiocese was to, instead of having 2 large classrooms, let's make 3 just kind of average, fairly good-sized classrooms. We'll still accommodate our students, but it gives us that additional space. Our art is on a cart currently, which means the art teacher, Mrs. Miller-Smith, takes her little cart with all of her art supplies to each and every classroom, up and down steps. So having an art room for her would be, and for students to work, would be a really big benefit.
So you've added 3 classrooms, and you mentioned you had some overcrowding. How many students do you accommodate now in the new setup with 3 additional rooms?
So our average class size is 18 students. Our largest classroom is 19 students. We do not have any classrooms with 20 or more students. And we pride ourselves on that. We know that's a huge factor when selecting an educational setting for your child. So we keep those class sizes small so we can provide students what they need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, really nice stuff, huh?
It is.
Yeah, really, really nice. And you know what's interesting? Amy, appreciate you doing that. Anything else you wanted to share, or are we kind of good?
I think we're good.
All right, thanks.
I'm looking forward to maybe my grandkids coming here now.
All right, Kathy, come on with me if you will. Let's walk back over this way. So you can see we're looking up toward the parking lot where you parked up above. That's the cafeteria down below and the gathering space on top of it. The beautiful windows, the view, you can get some sunlight in. It's really, really welcoming, isn't it? So let's just walk right in here back upstairs a little bit. And as we head upstairs to the sanctuary, I want to tell you about just a couple things. One of them is when we were over in the school, there was also a room put in for mechanical things back in the day. And when that was put in, what happened with it is we also put in a pad for a new boiler for the church, the gathering space, and the cafeteria. We're going to complete that because the one we're taking out is 70 plus years old, used to burn fuel oil, and extremely inefficient. Actually, we'll be able to regulate the temperature in the church sometimes, which is a really good thing too going forward. So that's what we did with that, and much more efficient, so we're saving money as we go forward.
Oh, that's what I've seen kind of as a common theme through this so far is how you've reutilized things, been very cost-effective and good stewards of your budget.
Thank you. We tried really hard. I mean, we even did the print materials in-house. We didn't go hire a capital campaign consultant. All of those pieces are saving the parish well over $300,000 to be able to do it that way as opposed to going outside. And we know that the people seem to appreciate that, so that's why we're doing it.
Well, especially with today's pandemic and everything else, utilizing or reutilizing and then saving on your money, that's got to be important.
It's really helped. It has really helped. So, yeah, and in addition, as we work through that campaign, we've been able to have a couple of really good staff people. One would be Kathy Berry, and the other one's a Brenda Kowalski. I just want to quick recognize them because they do some really good work around here as we're building this capital campaign. But, Kathy, you know what? Let's just walk in the church a minute. That's really kind of the capstone of this whole thing. So I just want to walk in here, take a look at this place. Isn't it beautiful?
Yes,
There's
it
Father
is.
Lucky. You got a minute? I'm showing Kathy Berry around.
I do. Good to see you, Kathy.
Good morning.
So, I take it that Deacon Rich has been showing you around our projects. Well, we've worked very, very hard at trying to make the parish something very life-giving and something very valuable and enriching. And I think one of the things, too, I happened to overhear you talking to our principal. I'm pretty sure that St. Matthew's is one of the few grade schools that's actually growing in size in the Archdiocese. So that says a lot about what we're trying to do here. But here we are in the church. And, the church was built in 1956. And what we wanted to do is to maintain the integrity of the 1956 style and to give it some modern updates. Very few people live in a home that they never make any changes to. And while I believe that the school and the gathering center and the cafeteria are all really very, very important, I'm also of the opinion that none of that matters unless what we do in here is the very best that we can do. And I think that when we see something beautiful, it has a transformative effect in our hearts and our minds and our souls. And so we took, it's not a lot of change, but just some pulling together and adding some color and some life to the place. So if you look at in the center, there is this crucifix where it's called a reredos. We added, to give it a finished look, we added the two wings to extend it to the side walls. And then what you see there is kind of like a burgundy curtain that we were able to find. And that burgundy curtain just again adds a little bit of richness and dimension to the church. And if you take a look at the side altars of Mary and Joseph, right before we did this, they were kind of plain. And what we did was we took wood framing, and then if you take a look at the top of the side altars of Mary and Joseph, Kathy, you'll see a little cornice. Well, if you take a look at the top of the ceiling in the rafter beams, well, it mimics that same style. And so we framed the altars of Mary and Joseph, and then in the sanctuary, you can see that the carpet is green in the church. Well, that was just put in a number of years ago, and so we're not going to do anything with that. But to add a sense of richness, we're going to replace the carpet that's in the sanctuary, that was in the sanctuary, and we replaced it with hardwood floor. Again, to just add a sense of beauty to the church. And then if you take a look at the stations, again, they were kind of plain, and so we incorporated some framing around the stations to kind of set them off. And again, it has that same sense of motif at the top of the little capstone, and so it reflects the beams in the church. Then what we did was, the windows here are very beautiful and they have a rich color. And so what we did was we took the windows and framed them out, again, to pull it together. And one of the things that a parishioner suggested, and I thought it was a very good idea, he suggested, because we got talking about maybe what to do with underneath the windows, there were some like bathroom tiles. They're about 1 inch square. And so what we did was we decided that we would cover those over, and we did a faux painting. And so you can see it's kind of a green marble, and that green marble reflects the same style and color of the main Mass altar and the altars of St. Joseph and the Blessed Virgin Mary. Okay? And then the last thing that we did is, if you take a look to your right, one time there were vigil candles over there. But the sanctuary was kind of crowded, and it seems that baptism is such a critically important sacrament that it really should have its own area. So we decided to move the baptismal font to the area where the vigil candles were once, and that's our baptismal area, and the vigil candles now that you can see are in the back of the church. And then the last thing that we did, if you take a look at the top of the ceiling, those ceiling panels were just kind of a plain white. And then what we did was we kind of had a neutral color highlighting the beams, and then you can see they are outlined in a gold line. Again, relatively minor changes, but I think that It adds a sense of richness, it adds a sense of beauty, and a greater sense of dignity to what we do here at Mass. And then lastly, we were able to find a company that I've worked with before that makes sanctuary furniture. And so we were able to incorporate new sanctuary furniture again into the church, just to give it that sense of beauty and that sense of dignity.
Well, I love the way you've preserved the history and reused what you could with the green marble and so forth. But forgive me, Father, I have to use a restroom.
Well, that's a good point, Kathy, and I'm glad that you asked about that because, I've only been here about a year. And, well, let me tell you one thing. I've only been here about a year, and I left an assignment that I really enjoyed and I really liked, but the Archbishop said my time had come to an end. So he asked me to come down to take this assignment. And, it didn't take too long after I was first here, and I saw that the parish needed a lot of loving attention. The physical plant, just the sense of tiredness of the parish. And I have to say, Kathy, that these have been some really supportive people. And, I think that they realize that I never ask for things that I don't need. And so in that sense, the response to everything that we've been doing over in the last year and a couple of months has just been very, very positive. But one of the first things that I noticed after I got here, and I probably noticed this about 3 weeks after I got here, that there was no bathroom on the first floor of the church. And I think that in today's society, or today's world, and it would have been true in 1956, but to have no bathroom close at hand for parents who have sick children, or elderly people who need to get to the bathroom quickly, or really, frankly, Kathy, any of us who would need to use a restroom facility right away, trying to get down either through the elevator and the steps and into the parish hall, that's a long trip. And so what we did is that there was the confessional in the back of church. We converted that into a handicapped bathroom. And then what was the baptistry or the adoration room, then we converted that into our new confessional. And I think that parents, from what I've been told, they really appreciate the fact that they can go right to the back and they have the facility right there.
Well, I'm going right to the back.
Okay.
Are you done? All right. Well, I'm glad you got to use the new restroom. It's beautiful. Father, thanks for showing her around. This place just looks incredible. And what it makes you want to do is just kind of come in and sit for a while. Thank God for all of the gifts that He gives us each and every day. While we do that, it's important, I think, to thank our heavenly helpers. Because throughout this entire campaign process so far, which frankly is just really getting underway, we've continued to call on our patron saint, St. Matthew. We've continued to ask St. Anthony to help us find the money, just like he did when we were this summer trying to put away our budget appeal. And then another saint we pray to is St. Therese, one of Father's favorite saints. And certainly a beautiful, beautiful thing in the Catholic Church is that we know that those who have died before us continue to pray for us as we pray for them. They gave up so much, the members here through the years, to build this parish. They gave up their resources and their time. Frankly, it's up to us to take it to the next level for the next generation. And I think that's the beauty of what we have in the Catholic Church. So, Kathy, if it's okay, I'm going to walk you back out to your car at this point and really appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate the tour. I'm very impressed with everything that's been done. It shows a lot of love and appreciation for St. Matthew with everything that's been done, and especially the way they've reused things and been wise about their expenditures.
All right, so this marks our kickoff for our general campaign for the facilities, the renewal, the updates of the parish. And I want to tell you a few things before we finish here today. So, I think I told you that before we could begin this campaign, the diocese insisted that 4 things happen. 1, we operate on a balanced budget. 2, we were able to operate without borrowing and meeting our obligations in our parish budget. 3, we had to pay off our $550,000 debt to the campaign. 4, we needed to start a savings account because the parish had been living hand to mouth. So when Deacon Rich and I went to the finance office about a year ago, this coming September, he and I went back up to my office in the tribunal, and it was pretty bleak because it was like, how will we ever do all of this and get this campaign started? And so we put our hearts and minds to work. And I have to say, we would not be where we are today. This campaign would not be where it is today without his help. He's the one. So Rich and I, we really started tearing that budget apart. We made some cuts so that we could clean things up. We worked on presenting a very good budget for this coming year. We pulled out all the money that had been going towards operating expenses from bequests. We had about $50,000 in bequests given to us last year, and I'll be telling you more about that when we present the financial report to the parish. We found out earlier this year that we'll be getting it sometime later this fall. We received another bequest of $111,000. And so that will give us in the Catholic Education Trust Fund at the Catholic Foundation between $160,000 and $170,000, which will help us in the years to come with tuition or with subsidy payments to the educational program. The most important thing that we were able to accomplish, and again, I think these are all divine providence. We received a second round of the payroll protection money. First round went at a time when there was very little money coming into the parish. We received a second round of payroll protection, and just by the grace of God, we made it. Used that money as was required by law to pay salaries. Money that would have been going towards paying salaries went towards paying off the capital campaign debt. Now, that's all been submitted to the bank and the Small Business Administration, and as Dave Ramsey says, we are, I think within just a couple of weeks when we get that notification from the bank, the parish will be debt-free. So all of those things happened through divine providence that made it possible for us to start this campaign. And one of the things about what we're doing is that there is nothing that is an extravagance. It's not a major wish list. It really is a list of important needs. So the last few things, so far, so that you know that this just wasn't my idea, or I was working with Deacon Rich. About 108 people have been involved in this process of pulling this together, including the envisioning and advisory team, campaign leaders, finance and the pastoral council, the group of people now who are working to go out to solicit pledges. So if you are one of those 108 people, we would ask you to please stand. Honorary campaign chairs, Roseanne. Okay, so these are some of the people who have been part of, Lynn, you were part of the group too. These are some of the people of that 108 who have been helping us to get to where we are today. So thank you very much. Deacon Rich has met with a number of groups. I've met with some of them with him. I think he's met with 8 groups so far. We met with the teachers. We met with the parish council and the finance committee, the school board, the senior group. So far, I put aside the month of July, the month of August, and half of September to make personal visits to some people that we were hoping would be able to help us with some larger gifts. So far, we have made 34 of those individual calls. And I think it's fair to know, or fair to say, that I can't ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And Deacon Rich and I cannot go ask people for money if we haven't done it ourselves. So both of us have made our commitments to this campaign. So to date, since we've been kind of had this soft start a couple of months ago, I'm happy to tell you as we begin this campaign, we have brought in between cash and pledges $1,299,961.89. And that includes a house on A Avenue, a second house that was given to us here recently. So far, the amount of money that we have brought in is at $169,842.58. So one of the last things that I want to say is that one of the things we wanted to work on our pastoral plan is a sense of engagement in getting people more connected to the life of the parish. Giving is one measure. The most important, it's a significant piece. And I'm going to put this in a little chart in the handout that I will give with the financial report. So in the fiscal year 2012 and 2013, the parish had 1,500 families, 1,500 families. Okay, so and they brought in just a little bit over $1 million. Last year, the fiscal year 2021, we have about 1,050 families. But the difference is the percentage of giving per household has increased 39%. And so that just says a tremendous amount about you, your sense of faithfulness and your sense of commitment to the church. And again, I'm so grateful for that. Lastly, we know that pictures don't do justice for the actual repairs that are needed, so that you might want, if you do have questions, Deacon Rich will be available, I'll be available here in the church. Where are you going to be? Oh, he's going to be out in the parking lot to kind of explain the new building. Amy will be over at the school. There might be some other people there in the school to kind of explain some of the changes over there. And then there will be a few people at the front door of the parish office if you'd like to see that. So this is the beginning. I just would ask you, when you are approached, to please think carefully and pray about this. And I just believe with all my heart and soul that we are going to be successful. I have no doubt about that. It's going to take a lot of work, you bet it is. But anything that's worthwhile takes work. And one of the last things, I told you Jeff Henderson said that, over the time he's heard that, people tell him, well, there's something different happening at St. Matthew's. Something good over there. We don't know what that is, but we hear about it. So last week, we met with a potential giver, a potential donor, and they send their kids to the school. And Deacon Rich happened to mention that. I don't belong to the parish, but they said, we've heard the same thing from our friends. Something happening at St. Matthew's. Same thing was mentioned at the parish council meeting last Tuesday night. One of the parish council members said, my friends say, they keep telling me there's something good about over there at St. Matthew that's going on. And that's only because the Holy Spirit is helping us. So tonight we will start the novena to St. Anthony to help us to find the funds. Next week we'll use the novena to St. Teresa, the Child Jesus. Every other week we'll do one of those two novena prayers. The saints will intercede for us to help us and to guide us, to show us the way.